I'm trying out some new strategy exploits today, but we might have to do it battling some engine penalties. Hello everybody, welcome back to F1 Manager, welcome back to AHGP. My name's Aaron and we are managing Mercedes. We are ready almost for the Italian Grand Prix in Monza. A very famous race, of course. One that I always look forward to, but actually for the second year in a row will find myself moving house on the weekend of / leading up to. So I'll actually be trying to find somewhere to watch it this year. It'd be tricky to do that, but last year I watched the highlights, so that's always helpful. But to F1 Manager business, and like I said in the intro, we're going to be trying out some strategy hacks, I suppose. I've been watching some other content creators and learnt a trick or two, and I've been trialling them out in the scenarios and race replay sections of the game to varying degrees of success. In one of them, we did end up with a double DNF, so I'll come to that when we get to the strategy point of the episode. But we might also be battling engine penalties, like I said. So I've been mulling it over. We're definitely going to need to take engine penalties, but this strategy thing that I've found, you may already know what I'm on about, to be honest, if you've watched a few other content creators. It might mean we don't need to take an engine penalty, potentially. Although having a fresh engine will be useful. So that was George Russell's engine's capacity, I suppose. And then Lewis Hamilton's here. So he's got a 30% left on the engine that's installed at the moment. But that's just going to be used for practice. 74% on his freshest engine. ERS, we're looking a bit ropey there too. Gearboxes, especially for George, not looking great. Lewis has actually got one brand new gearbox to chuck in, but only 55% on the ERS. So grid penalties are definitely coming our way. Let's go to the pit crew training. We're going to reduce pit stop errors, which will hopefully reduce time. So we'll just do that. What I would really like to see put in the game for next year is you can just delegate that bit to the sporting director. So I play Football Manager, and you can delegate parts of the game to your staff. So you can have your race engineers come up with the strategies, and then obviously you could potentially override them during the race. Things like that. Your head of aero set like a development path. You know, I want our car to be really good at things like this, and then they just go and develop bits like that. So you can be a little bit more hands-off-ish. I mean, obviously you can then opt into being more hands-on and stuff like that. But I think, you know, just it's maybe for newer players, people who maybe don't understand Formula One quite so much. I mean, I've got a quarter of a century of experience of watching the sport and understanding it to go on. But newer people to the sport, this is a lot of information to take in. So just, you know, something to think about for the future. And let's see how the first runs go. And you're going to get a glimpse at part of the strategy for the race here. We're going to ask the drivers to avoid high-risk curbs. For some reason, it just allows the drivers to be faster. We've got Lance Stroll, the only Aston Martin in Q3 behind Hamilton, and Russell getting blocked by an Alpine. That's not an ideal start to the laps. Stroll is right up behind Hamilton now. We're going to be doing 2 flying laps, so hopefully the Ferrari of Sainz gets out the way. We lost a huge amount of time on that run. And Verstappen now getting in the way. Thank you very much, Verstappen. Hamilton goes second fastest. Russell got blocked by Verstappen. That's something they do need to improve for next year's game, is the blocking on qualifying laps. Quick enough out lap. I don't think we're going to get the second lap in. So let's follow Hamilton. He's a tenth and a bit off of pole position. And he's got a Williams behind him of Logan Sargent, who's made it into Q3. That's Verstappen getting in the way again. Oh my word. Good thing he's got a grid penalty as it is. They need to bring impeding penalties into this game. Not a personal best for either driver, probably because they're carrying extra fuel. But this is their only lap. So Hamilton, middle sector. What's it going to say? Not an improvement. So we're looking likely not to improve. Is Perez improving? He's on a fast lap. He's half a tenth, well, just under a tenth behind. Hamilton stays second fastest. What does Russell do? He's not improved on this lap and stays fifth. Perez has not improved. So Lewis Hamilton will start the Italian Grand Prix from pole position because Max Verstappen has a grid penalty. But he could have improved on that lap if Verstappen hadn't blocked him. So what I'm going to be doing, so you saw in qualifying I asked the drivers to avoid high speed curbs or high risk curbs. So we're going to be doing that, and then when we're in traffic we'll drive in clean air. So when you're not in traffic, avoid high risk curbs and you gain so much lap time. Driving clean air allows you to keep the tyres cool, as does avoid high risk curbs, and it makes overtaking easier. And we're going to exaggerate that by taking as much fuel out of the cars as possible. Now, this does require a safety car, VSC, to work. But what it does mean we can do, we just run in conserve mode on the fuel for basically all the race, limiting the amount of power you're taking out of the engine. And it becomes very beneficial. Now, in my trials, I did an equal performance race with Alpine, and it was devastating, absolutely devastating. I got Ocon from 13th on the grid to 2nd before both drivers ran out of fuel on the final lap because there wasn't a VSC or a safety car. So that's the risk we're going to take. To be on the safe side at the moment, I'm not going to be quite as radical with the fuel. But Lewis at the front. Hopefully we get out of turn 1 in the lead. Then we can attack on the tyres. Because we're avoiding the high risk curbs, they stay cool, which means they just stay with us for longer. And everything becomes better. Let's go and ruin the Tifosi's day, because they think that from 2nd and 4th they can get a win, but we're about to spoil their party. Alright, Hamilton on the right, on pole position for the 2nd time in 3 races. Carlos Sainz alongside him. 5 red lights go out and the race is underway. We'll ask George Russell to drive in clean air for a moment, and immediately I think we're going to be running 1-2. Can Russell get through into the first chicane? Hamilton pulling ahead. Russell, can we outdrag the Ferrari? Not quite. But we'll have a chance into the Della Roggia. We'll have the inside line. Can George Russell outbrake Carlos Sainz? It's shades of 2018. But it's not the position for George Russell. Not yet, at least. He'll have to back out of this one. And there you go. Immediately looking for the clean air. But Sainz is going to be fast. And Hamilton will have to look out for the Ferrari. We've got a yellow flag. Who was that going off? Was that Alonso tumbling down the order? My heart weeps for him. It was Alonso locking up at the Ascari chicane. Hamilton needs to get a wriggle on, really, because Sainz is on mediums, as is Russell. So Hamilton can pull away in this opening stint. Once it all settles down, then everything should fall into place. Alright, Sainz looking like he's about to go past, and Carlos Sainz takes the lead for Ferrari. So what we do now is we take off avoid high risk curbs, and we drive in clean air. But now because he's running in traffic, the tyres will warm up a bit more. But this is helpful because if we can make an overtake, then we gain the confidence. I'm going to ask George not to fight his teammate, as Verstappen is already in 6th position. Hamilton looking for the clear air. As long as we get DRS, we're almost 3 wide into the parabolica. So Hamilton, DRS, got him on aggressive overtakes. Is he going to send it? Not this time. Hamilton taking the lead. Now we put the avoid high risk curbs. We deploy. And we'll see if we can break DRS.
Use the overtake.
That's That's the game, is to break DRS as Hulkenberg now locks up at the first chicane. But Sainz is sticking with us, annoyingly. So I might just go back into top up and allow him to have the lead again. There we go. And now driving clean air. Have the DRS. Oh, we've got through back into the lead through the Parabolica. And we have a DRS. So we don't have the energy to deploy. So we need to pull that trick with a very full battery and then just blast it down the straight. It's Perez sets the fastest lap. Verstappen now ahead of Leclerc. They're all starting to get past the Aston Martin of Stroll. And they're going to become a problem for us. And George Russell is looking down the inside of Sainz there. Didn't get the move done. But that's allowed Max Verstappen through. So the game is being accurate to real life. Basically, wherever Verstappen starts, he will win the race. He's overtaken George Russell. But we will be able to hopefully attack again with Russell. Hamilton's keeping Sainz behind. And managing his tyres. So we need to keep an eye on the tyre temperatures. If they get a bit cold, then I know sooner if the words come out of my mouth that Hamilton's keeping Sainz behind, that Sainz goes through. Lovely. And now Verstappen's here. And we know what happens when Hamilton and Verstappen are together on the track. They inevitably bang wheels. And Verstappen now looking on the outside of Hamilton. And I think we're about to fall to third place. Hamilton fending off the Dutchman, but it's not to any avail. We are in top-up mode. So Hamilton has fallen pretty quickly out of DRS range because he's on the soft tyres. And they're starting to give up the ghost. But Verstappen's won't be far behind. So we've asked Russell... We've told Russell he can now fight his teammate. We will... If Russell gets close, then we'll ask Hamilton not to fight him. But I don't want him just giving up a chunk of time to let Russell through. What I might do actually is put Hamilton on rarely defend. So if Russell goes for it, then he doesn't try to block it. But we're almost 3 seconds behind this lead pair. So having started on pole position, it's unravelling at the moment. We didn't get away from the lead pack. The strategy game hasn't quite worked out. Maybe we could have taken more fuel out, but we'll see how things pan out. Hopefully there'll be a safety car later on that will bring us back into play. Right, Hamilton into the pit lane. Quick stop please, lads. 2.5 seconds. That's sluggish by today's standards. So Hamilton's going to come out. Will he come out behind Magnussen? No. He'll come out just ahead of the Haas, which is lovely. So now, avoid high-risk curbs. Go for it. Bit of drama. It's an Aston Martin and an Alpha Tauri. That is Alonso and Tsunoda, and honestly that should be a safety car. The amount of debris on the track there, that should be a safety car. But nothing doing. But Hamilton is on mediums and the rest of them are all on hards. So later in the race, when we stick that extra set of soft tyres on, Hamilton could be absolutely electric and be just scything through the field. At least in my mind, that's what I'm seeing. But what we are seeing right now on the track is Hamilton chasing Perez and Sainz. And despite their grid penalties, Red Bull are just rocketing to the front in just, pure normal fashion. Verstappen has somehow opened up a 12-second lead. Yeah, I'm going to be doing an investigation into the game's database about that. Hamilton now third, battling with Sainz, around the outside of the second Lesmo, and then with the slipstream from the Red Bull, takes P3, and now could be sizing up said Red Bull for P2. Tyres are starting to heat up a bit, but that's okay because we do need to use them. We're a few laps out from when we want to pit Hamilton. We'll ask him to harvest some energy while he's got DRS behind the Red Bull. It's a fine line to walk, this strategy, but hopefully it's going to pay big dividends for us. But we are now about to put some soft tyres on Hamilton. Let's see where he comes out. My guess is he'll come out somewhere around this wonderful battle with the Alpines. Hopefully he comes out just ahead of it. So Russell's gone through. Leclerc will also go through. Hamilton is now leaving the box. He's going to be comfortably clear of the Alpines, which means he has got a clear run at Leclerc. Russell will just move him out the way. Then he's going to get after Sainz. So here comes Hamilton out of the pit lane. Russell is looking after his tyres better than anybody in the top 5. So Lewis will just ask him to avoid the high-risk curbs, and let's send him on his way. Alright, first lap out of the pits. First full lap at least. Hamilton half a second quicker than even the Red Bulls. So the tyres aren't up to temperature yet. So let's see what this brings us in terms of pace. We're less than 6 seconds behind Leclerc now. If we can catch Russell, then that's going to be a good job, because Leclerc is now nearly 9 seconds behind Russell. There is George. Is he catching the Ferrari ahead? No, he's much slower than Sainz. So let's put him on deploy. Push Russell along the road a bit. Hamilton absolutely flying. Did a 23.2 there. Aston Martin are going to score precisely no points in 17th and 18th. Hamilton is about to have DRS. So now we put high aggression on the overtakes. Drive in clean air. Let's jump on board with the 7-time world champion. Closing in on a Ferrari, which is now 10 seconds behind Russell. So I don't think we'll even catch Russell. One stop is always the way to go at Monza, because you just lose so much time compared to everybody else if you stop for a second time. If you get a safety car, two-stopper instantly becomes better. And when you get DRS, that also becomes better. So we'll just conserve on the fuel with Lewis for the moment. Hopefully we can go past the Ferrari with the DRS. Softs versus hard. We all know how that battle ends up. And Hamilton into 5th position. Aston Martin's day goes from bad to worse. Fernando Alonso spins at the De La Roja chicane. Does his best Sebastian Vettel impression. It's been a day to forget for Aston Martin. Hamilton is closing on Russell, but he's not going to catch him. And we'll just see this through to the end now. We've got a lap to go. It's going to be a Red Bull 1-2. We've left Leclerc behind by 9 seconds. For what it's worth. As Verstappen starts the final lap. Even with our soft tyres, we couldn't beat Verstappen's fastest lap. So Verstappen wins the race. Russell is coming down to the Parabolica to take 4th. Here he comes. Hopefully this gets him ahead of Alonso now in the driver's standings. Hamilton from pole position. We tried a strategy. It didn't quite work. Probably because we didn't save ourselves a fresh set soft for the start. I think we could have done a better job there. But 4th and 5th, helpful points. Secures us probably P3 in the championship now. So Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez move forward 8 positions each from 9th and 10th on the grid to finish 1st and 2nd. Carlos Sainz beats us to a podium, but 4th and 5th, solid haul of points. Have we outscored Ferrari? No, we haven't. We've lost a point to Ferrari still. We've scored 22, they've scored 23. But yes, George Russell does move ahead of Fernando Alonso now by 4 points in the driver's standings. Hamilton's chase on Carlos Sainz starting to look a little bit more tricky. Well, if you enjoyed that race and liked that strategy, we'll be trying that out a little bit more to perfect it in the future. I think it will be a little bit track specific, but we'll be giving it another go in Singapore. If you enjoyed this video, leave a nice big thumbs up for me on it, give it a like, that shares it out with everybody else. And if you enjoy the series, subscribe to the channel for more F1 Manager content. For now though, I will see you next time. Thanks very much for watching. I'll see you in Singapore.